The world is once again standing at a highly dangerous crossroads. A warning has emerged that has shaken global powers from Washington to Beijing and from Asia to Europe. The Chief of Staff of the United States Navy, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, has issued an unusually serious statement declaring that China is preparing for war. This is not an ordinary political comment, nor the opinion of a television analyst. These words come from a woman who leads the most powerful navy in the world, with direct access to classified intelligence reports, satellite surveillance, and global military assessments. That is precisely why this warning cannot be ignored. The question now is clear. Is China truly moving toward a major war? And if so, where and when could such a conflict take place? Admiral Lisa Franchetti is a decisive and historic figure in the history of the United States Navy. She is the first woman to serve as Chief of Naval Operations and brings decades of military experience to the role. She has commanded forces across critical regions including the Indo-Pacific, the Middle East, and Europe. When such an experienced military leader states that China is preparing for war, it is not speculation, it is a serious strategic warning. According to Admiral Franchetti, China's preparations go far beyond tanks, missiles, or troop deployments. This is a comprehensive strategy involving military readiness, psychological conditioning, economic positioning, diplomatic maneuvering, and most importantly, long-term planning. In her assessment, China is no longer operating from a defensive posture but has entered a phase of active war readiness. A closer look at China's military activity makes this picture even clearer. Over the past decade, China has built the world's largest navy. Hundreds of modern warships, new aircraft carriers, and an advanced submarine network demonstrate that this expansion is not merely defensive, but a clear projection of power. China's continuous military drills around Taiwan have further intensified global concern. Repeated airspace incursions, naval exercises, and missile tests signal that Beijing is actively testing its combat capabilities. These actions send a clear message. China considers itself prepared for a potential confrontation. The recent ballistic missile test in the South China Sea represents another alarming development. Conducted after several decades, the test confirmed that China now possesses weapons capable of targeting U.S. naval fleets. These hypersonic missiles are designed not for deterrence, but for offensive operations and advancement that deeply worries the United States and its allies. Washington understands that Taiwan is not merely an island. It is the center of the global semiconductor industry, and the balance of power in Asia is closely tied to its status. Any military move by China would not remain a regional issue. It could trigger consequences felt across the entire world. Admiral Franchetti's warning, therefore, carries a clear message. Time is running out. U.S. intelligence assessments indicate that Chinese President Xi Jinping has instructed the People's Liberation Army to achieve full combat readiness by 2027. This is not an assumption, but a structured analysis based on classified intelligence and observable military developments. Understanding Xi Jinping's mindset is essential. He envisions China as a dominant global superpower and seeks to limit American influence on the world stage. In his view, Taiwan is not just a geographic territory, but an unfinished mission tied directly to national pride and legitimacy. This perspective significantly raises the risk level in the region. China's preparations are not confined to the battlefield. Information warfare plays a major role, with efforts to shape public narratives, promote anti-Western sentiment, and psychologically prepare its population for confrontation. At the same time, China is strengthening its economic defenses by controlling rare earth minerals, influencing global supply chains, and preparing for potential sanctions. Admiral Lisa Franchetti's warning is historic because the U.S. military rarely uses such direct and unambiguous language. Publicly identifying a potential adversary and issuing such a clear alert is highly unusual. For this reason, her statement is widely seen as a strategic red alert. History reminds us of the consequences of ignoring such warnings. Before both World War I and World War II, similar signals were dismissed until it was too late. Today, once again, the world is witnessing powerful nations, rapid military expansion, rising nationalism, and rigid alliance structures that closely resemble those earlier periods. It would be premature to say that war is inevitable. However, the threat is real. Admiral Franchetti's objective is not to provoke conflict, but to prevent it through preparedness and deterrence. At this moment in history, a single miscalculation, a wrong assumption, or a misunderstood signal could change everything. Admiral Lisa Franchetti's warning is not directed at the United States alone, it is a message to the entire world. The real question is not whether China is preparing, but whether the world itself is prepared.